I was in kindergarten when the anime for Pokemon hit. It hit like a bomb went off. Everybody had to have it. Everybody was watching it. Everybody was playing it. And seriously, it was so crazy at that time. A single pack of cards, which had 10 cards at the time with no guarantee of even a shiny card like in today's packs, would cost about $10 just for 10 cards, which is wild to me. So not just justifying rarity, it was $1 per card. Schools banned these cards just so quickly, just so kids weren't stealing them and gambling. Yeah, that happened. We were gambling before we even knew what gambling really was. I loved Pokemon. I didn't get my first game until Christmas of 2000, which is when I got Golden. That's probably why I love Gen 2 over every other generation. Sorry, Gen 1, you're not as good. I played that game every day on the bus to school, to family trips, just watching Pokemon. I was playing Pokemon Gold. It was the first time in my life that going to school on the bus that I found out Pokemon sucks. So I was the first one to get Pokemon. I actually got it on Christmas out of my friend group and the kids on the bus. Some had birthdays later on in the year, so their parents waited until after Christmas to get them like the big gift, their Game Boy and Pokemon. So I was playing a good month before most of my friends. I was so far, I was in Kanto, and one of the kids who had just gotten the game for some reason did not like the fact that I was so much ahead of him. So he's like, "Oh, can I see your Pokemon?" So I gave him my Game Boy, let him see everything. He hands it back to me. My game completely deleted. I figured out the game. I didn't have any of those guides or anything, so all those hours spent as a second grader just gone out the window. Or first grade, sorry. Out the window. I lost it. I broke down. I started crying. I mean, so much effort went into this game. Might have been why I got the games kicked off my bus, but I blame that kid for deleting my game and all the work that went into it. So much work goes into Pokemon, like each iteration as a kid, that you're just trying to catch everything, and most of us really didn't understand the whole trading sequence for the game and how you could trade in between games, like generation wise. We didn't have the internet. Leave us alone. Our parents also didn't buy us the books because they didn't understand that the guides were completely different and just how things got around. At that point, a couple months after I had lost so much will to play, it killed me. Like, I didn't play for 2 years until I played Ruby. I know Ruby came out fairly soon, but I just didn't play it for the fact that I couldn't get over the fact that I had lost my entire save file. That killed me. But when I did come back to Pokemon, I had to actually play the game in secret. Like at school and at home, I was told Pokemon was for little kids, and in school it was not cool. Even though I knew other people were in secret as well, which is just insane to me. My parents didn't understand that it wasn't just for little kids. It was actually big. It just had cutesy little Pokemon. Even something to this day, like, I still don't understand that people don't understand that Pokemon is not just a kid's game. It's just cute aesthetics, but it's not a kids-only game. Seriously, it just might be the cartoony aesthetics, or I don't know, like the game's being considered easy to older people who've played the games before, but it's not really why you do it. A lot of it is just to get through the game and then just get to what you actually want to do, battling and capturing, shiny chasing, etc. And Pokemon just in the mainstream wasn't cool. Like, to YouTubers and people on the internet, Pokemon was always cool and it never kind of left. But at least for 2016, the summer of 2016, let me say, Pokemon was freaking cool. It was when Pokemon Go came out. You had people on Android who went a full day ahead and got Pokemon Go from the New Zealand servers. Yes, that was me. I loved that game for that summer because I thought they were going to be making cooler and better changes to go about it. And nothing really even came about it. And that's what kind of turned it off for me, is because they didn't want it to be this exact replica of the way Pokemon in real life, which annoyed the hell out of me, which it should have been. There should have been more battling and capturing Pokemon and everything. It didn't feel like Pokemon. It was cool that it was called Pokemon Go, but it just wasn't. It wasn't a real Pokemon game like we were promised. We were promised that we were going to be battling people, trading people, and it took months to get to that point where battling was even a thing. And even when the battling was introduced, outside of like the gym battles, and we could battle friends and stuff like that, it was just a tap fest. Like, that's not Pokemon. Pokemon is picking and choosing and strategizing, and it was just so boring after that. And I dipped off after about 2017 is when I stopped playing. For the most part, I got back into it here and there, but it just never got back to where it was in 2016. And then they wanted to bring the Pokemon Go formula and condense it down to a Switch game, which we got Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, which are just remakes of Red, Blue, and Yellow. I've yet to actually finish the game because it got so boring. I hated the catching mechanic. I even bought the Pokeball. I was so excited for it. I wanted to use it for more than just the game, but then nope. I stopped playing Let's Go real fast. Although I did get a shiny Geodude from the trades, the Alolan one. One thing that blows my mind is Nintendo and the Pokemon Company love the competitive aspect of Pokemon. They actually give us a real ranked system in Pokemon, but not Smash. Like, are you kidding me? That makes no sense to me. It's great that it's in there, but how come they can't actually do that for other games that are competitive for other than Pokemon? I understand Pokemon is a competitive world and Smash technically isn't, but I mean, come on, there's more competitive Smash players than there are competitive Pokemon players. And while we're on competitive Pokemon, why is it that the competitive scene and the ranked scene is doubles? It's always been one-on-ones. I know that doubles was introduced in Generation 3, and that was when they started really focusing on the VGC, or the Video Game Championships for the uninitiated. But even in the animes and the mangas, it's always one-on-one. Why is it now that it's 2-on-2? I understand it's team composition and stuff like that. It's interesting, I like it, but I just don't understand. When I got into Pokemon, I thought competitive stuff was the Smogon, which is 6v6 and one-on-one at each time. And when you're trying to explain competitive Pokemon to people, you have to actually go about it and explain that you're not beating up kids at these tournaments, that there's age groups, and you're not beating up little 6-year-old Timmy with his in-game captured Pikachu versus your perfect Ivies and Eevee had perfectly, oh geez, I don't even want to get into it. And the hours that you need to spend on competitive Pokemon just to even get a single competitive Pokemon is ridiculous. I've gotten it down fairly quickly to where it only takes about an hour or so to get a single Pokemon down, but that's just too much for people who are just not fully invested yet into it. And I think that's why it's not as big as it is, because people don't actually know what they're doing or properly how to get to it. One thing that you come across when you're like breeding for competitive Pokemon is shiny Pokemon, and that's another thing that I absolutely hate. I love shiny Pokemon, I really, really do. I hate the crap shinies. Like, I'm talking like the green ones. Some of them are cool, like I like Dragonite's green ones, but I just got a shiny Tyranitar the other day, and I couldn't even tell. Tyranitar is one of my favorite Pokemon in the game, but its shiny is awful. You know who also has a worse shiny, I think? Pikachu. If you put two Pikachus next to each other, one shiny and one not, I'm willing to bet most people could not tell me which one is shiny. You gotta do better with the shinies, Pokemon. I mean, come on. Speaking of shiny, I'm gonna talk about the cards. No one back in the day knew how to play. Everybody thought HP meant like horsepower, and the worst cards to get were the energy cards. We didn't understand that they were the most crucial part of the game. But, I mean, how would we know? We only got one of the card games for the video games. Japan got two. The card game, by the way, which is a phenomenal game, and if you've never played it, I highly recommend you give it a shot. The TCGO is fine. It's just not exactly the Pokemon video game that I want personally. I want one back like where it was like we would travel to tournaments like the original one. And if you ever have cards, people think you have gold if you have a Charizard, but most people have no idea where their cards are. I mean, for me, my first ever holographic card was a Kabutops, and I mean that card is probably worth $5 now, but everybody thinks they have that Charizard that's worth, I think the Charizard's only worth like a couple hundred now. People think that they all have grade 10s and right out of the pack, and they're thinking it's worth more than it is. If you go onto any website that looks up card values, they look at sold price. Like Forbes, I know Forbes did a whole thing about it, and they said that Charizard from the set 1 was worth, I think, $3,000. It's not the case. It may be sold for once, but that was a very specific time. Trust me, you do not have a Charizard that's worth $3,000, even if you put it away. And another thing, with money in Pokemon, games never go down in value. It's like a safe stock option. It's kind of annoying that if you want an older game, like if I wanted to get gold is still priced around $30, I think, or so. But it doesn't really drop under than that. It's one of those games that there's so many copies out there, but the demand is so high that it's never going to go down. I'm kind of fine with that. I'm also kind of glad that I have certain games that I do, like Pokemon Conquest, which we need a remake on the Switch. Please bring that back on the Switch. The price on that doesn't go down, and I'm thrilled with that I still have mine. It's a little annoying. When we're talking about like Switch remakes and stuff like that, like we go for like, we want the better graphics and everything. But what sucks is we're at Sword and Shield, and yet the game still looks like a 3DS game. Like, are you kidding me? Why can't we have a game that looks like Breath of the Wild? That game is huge, so huge, but yet we can't have something that looks like that. Are you kidding me? How badass would Charizard be if he could look like that in Breath of the Wild style? There's also too much merchandise in the world for Pokemon. We don't need it, but we really, 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 really want it. And the worst part is the really cool stuff never leaves Japan. And the stuff that does leave Japan is worth like $500. I know we've all seen the meme with the $500 Mareep. I want the Mareep. I'm a 25-year-old man. I want the Mareep. But it's $500. I don't know. This is just scratching the surface on the stuff that annoys me with Pokemon. A series that I love to death. If you made it this far, maybe like the content. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll catch you guys later.